The one thing about the NFL, I'll just say this, is like there are no absolutes. It's never just, well, this team did everything right and this team did everything. There was a lot of give and take in this football game. Of course, look, Baltimore had their biggest deficit at halftime they've had all season long. So, right, they dug themselves a hole. And I'm not taking anything away from Buffalo. I'm not making it about Baltimore. Buffalo intentionally tackled the football, punched the ball out. They had 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half. Josh, you know what? Joe Brady called a perfect game.
Correct.
Philosophically, that's how they have this is what they have morphed into being because of these kinds of moments. Baltimore, though, make no mistake about it. Move the ball at will, put themselves in position still at the end, despite all those mistakes, to win the game, and drop the ball.
At no point, even with the mistakes that Baltimore made, did I think that game was out of hand.
No.
Because of the way Baltimore was still playing that game. I felt like watching that game, Baltimore's going to find a way to win this game because they looked like they were the better team.
I'm not going to lie to you, Dan. I hear what you're saying, and I completely disagree with it. I'm not trying to take anything away from Buffalo. I'm delighted for them, and I give them a great shot to beat Kansas City next week. I have no idea how they won that game yesterday. Watching it, I have no idea how they won that game. The Ravens gave it to them in every way you can give another team a game. Dan, 2 critical turnovers in the first half, multiple big drops. How about the Derrick Henry drop early in the game? How about when they get going in the second half? The only thing that could have stopped them were themselves. The Buffalo defense had no answers in the second half.
But that's how this team has been built over the last 18 months or so. I mean, Buffalo has won the turnover differential 21 games in a row. That's how they win the football game. They were unbelievably efficient on first down. They ran the ball on first down for almost 5 yards a carry. Josh was 8 of 9 passing the ball. So it was this overall belief of we're going to be really good on offense. We're not going to give the game away. We think that we're going to be good enough to control the game. They controlled that game. You may say, Wood, you never felt like it was out of reach. But I always felt like Buffalo controlled the football game.
Listen, I'll say this, and I totally agree with you, Greeny. If those two teams play 10 times, I mean, the Ravens are winning 8 of them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, and again, Buffalo played an amazing game plan. They controlled the line of scrimmage. I agree. Like, the fact that we're talking about Josh Allen had 140 yards of offense and they won, if you would have told me that before the game,
But don't you think there is something to be said for one? That's why getting the 2 seed was such a big deal. So you got to go to Buffalo to play. And then we don't have to make it like, listen, if you're going to blame last night on Lamar, I think respectfully you're a loser. But we do have to praise Josh Allen for sitting there going, he's gone to be an elite decision maker. He's gone to being a guy who's playing smart but not careful. He's gone from being a guy who's reckless to aggressive. Like that we were talking about at pre-show, that 3rd and goal run where he gets hemmed up late in the game and he takes the ball and he's thinking about pitching it to James Cook. You're like, please, God, don't do that. Josh of old would have done that.
I think there's been a whole organizational kind of like evolution in Buffalo, though. Which is exactly. And offensively, they've kind of taken some of that away from Josh and said, hey, look, you know what? We don't need to put it all on you. We had 3 backs last night who were just look, I'll tell you what, we talk about offensive line play, we're talking about Philly's offensive line, we talk about the way the Rams ran the ball, we're talking about the way Baltimore runs the ball. Buffalo's offensive line, you saw what Deion Dawkins can do to people. Deion Dawkins will knock people out of the game. This is as physical an offensive line as there is in football. So the way in which they have evolved this football team overall kind of even transcends Josh Allen, which I'll tell you what, give Brandon Beane, give Sean McDermott,
100%.
give all of them a ton of credit for what they built.
Yeah, listen, the Buffalo Bills just played a perfect game. They did not make any mistakes. They were flawless. They did not make the mistakes. And they did exactly what they needed to do to win the game. I just find it so rich that Alex Smith says what he just said here. And later on, which I already did the clip about the Washington Commanders, he was like, Patrick Mahomes played the best game against the Houston Texans. And he threw for 177 yards. You know, like 160-some net yards because of the sack. And yet, he's now calling out Josh Allen. Like, what? Again, what are we doing here? Why is there no consistency? I don't understand. It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. All season long, they're praising the Kansas City Chiefs for winning like this. And the Buffalo Bills now have a game like this, and it's nothing. It's crickets. It's not the opposite of crickets. It's, wow, this is, I don't know how they won. The Baltimore Ravens outplayed them. Like, where's the balance? Where's the balance? And yeah, if the Buffalo Bills played like this every single game, I would have concerns. I would absolutely have concerns. I voiced those concerns with the Kansas City Chiefs. That's where a bunch of random trolls are like, oh, it's okay when the Bills do it, but not the Chiefs. No. No. If that's what you're constantly doing every single game, yeah, it's a little unsettling. It's a little unsettling. And when you start off the season and your quarterback has like 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, yeah, that's unsettling. That's not a consistent way to win football games. And when you're winning games based off of missed, field goals and fumbled snaps, blocked field goals, yeah, that's a little concerning. If the Buffalo Bills won in a similar fashion against the Denver Broncos and then did this against the Baltimore Ravens, you'd say, oh, I don't know about this AFC Championship game. But they showed us what they're capable of doing. So we see them be able to win in many different ways against different types of teams, not just good teams or bad teams. It's not like they only play great against bad teams, win ugly, tough, weird games against good teams, and then there you have it. That's not the story here. So there are different conversations. There are different topics, different conclusions. But yeah, you're right. Derrick Henry dropped that ball. Mark Andrews dropped that ball. Lamar Jackson fumbled and threw interceptions. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the Buffalo Bills did. The Buffalo Bills got their plays. And when they had the lead, when that's what the game gave them, then Joe Brady called the game how you would expect it. They were smart. They were conservative. They didn't give the Ravens any extra possessions or any extra moments. They said, hey, we did the math. As long as we're smart and balanced, we win this game, even though that they'll maybe score more points. And we will score less. It's fine. That was smart. It was actually high-level organizational football. This was the first playoff game that I really saw the Buffalo Bills finally, truly like, hey, we got our act together. We actually have a legitimate game plan, and we know how to adjust depending on what the game gives us. The Baltimore Ravens couldn't do that. And again, if those turnovers didn't happen, and the Baltimore Ravens did score and did whatever and put up more points and the game was closer, then the Buffalo Bills would have called a more aggressive game. It would have been a different style game. But they didn't have to. They didn't have to. And that's also the difference. Because you have a team like the Kansas City Chiefs who was like having to come from behind in the fourth quarter. It was like tied, it was close, whatever in the fourth. The Buffalo Bills were in control of this game. They were in the driver's seat. And that's what Dan Orlovsky is highlighting. So yeah, I'm excited for this AFC Championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs. I have no idea who's going to win. No idea. None. Zero. I keep saying it's going to come down to just the tiniest little things that no one can see coming. I don't know if it's just going to be like Josh Allen imposes his will or Patrick Mahomes imposes his will. As much as we would want that to happen, I don't know if it will. I don't know if that's the way how this game's going to be. But, yeah. The way how they're trying to minimize this win for the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs like this, like, if people were talking about the Buffalo Bills being a dynasty, then I think it would totally be fair. And if people were talking about Josh Allen being the GOAT, I think it would be totally fair to scrutinize how this game unfolded. How did Josh Allen really do enough to take credit for this win? Was this more about the Baltimore Ravens losing? I think that's totally fair. Which is why I think it's totally fair to do that for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Because people are saying, this is the greatest team in the history of the world. This is the greatest quarterback in the history of the world. Then let's go through it all. Let's see how this unfolded. Just like we did for Tom Brady. Just like we do for Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, This is what we do for all of the all-time greats, but especially the ones that are actually in GOAT consideration. And yes, if Josh Allen goes on and wins another 2-3 Super Bowls, then it would make total sense to go back and say, well, okay, let's look at these games. Well, he did win that Ravens game, but hey, look, Lamar Jackson had a fumble and an intercept. It would be okay to kind of look at that a little bit. I think that's totally fair. And that's something that people still struggle to grasp. And I don't understand why. I really don't. But the way how these conversations end up having is just like, when we like this team or like this quarterback, we say this. And when we don't like this quarterback or don't like this team, we say that. And it's like, that's not how you get there. That's not how you get to the truth of the situation, the reality of the situation. If the Buffalo Bills played exactly like this and just relied on the other teams to make mistakes to win their games, game after game after game, I would absolutely be saying, I don't know about this Buffalo Bills team. I don't know if this will last. I have concerns. But when they get up big 21-10 and they take advantage of those mistakes, and then they're really smart situationally as the game unfolds, it's now somehow bad. Because they were up all this and they just wanted Josh Allen to just let it rip on a cold, windy, snowy, slippery day and have maybe a weird tip interception or just a great defensive play, and then now that changes the game. But hey, Josh Allen threw for 300 yards. That doesn't make sense. But again, this is where things get backwards. And this is why it's actually kind of perfect that the Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Buffalo Bills. Because now I get free range to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills in the same videos. Because no one's out here saying that Josh Allen played one of the best playoff games ever. He was amazing. He was extraordinary. And this is the backwards takes that we get. Because again, you have Alex Smith himself saying that what Patrick Mahomes did against the Houston Texans was extraordinary. That throw to Kelsey? Okay. Again, Jared Goff made a throw like that. That was harder. Through multiple defenders. Joe Burrow's made that throw. Josh Allen has made that throw. Did you see the throw that Josh Allen made against the Broncos? Like, those are the takes that make my head want to explode. Those are the inconsistencies that I try to always point out. Which is why people say, you're a fanboy of this and a hater of that. No, I'm just trying to point out inconsistencies. I'm just trying to point out imbalances. And then people automatically take that as like, well, you're just trying to bring down Patrick Mahomes. What are you saying? Patrick Mahomes wasn't great? That's not what I'm saying either. Multiple things can be true. Multiple things can be true at the same time. 1 + 1 = 2. And 6 + 6 also equals 12. Okay? You got it? And 2 - 1 = 1. And 5 × 5 = 25. We understand that? 5 + 1 = 6. We got it, right? And when we do all that math, what do we get? Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen? Do you think this was more about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens losing this game, or more about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen winning this game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.